Let's get right into it. Number 10. The Max Headroom Incident. You're sitting at home on a Sunday night in 1987, watching TV when suddenly your screen goes dark. When the picture comes back, you see a person in a Max Headroom mask swaying back and forth, laughing maniacally. The voice is distorted, like something from a horror movie, and what they're saying makes absolutely no sense. This actually happened in Chicago, twice in the same night. The first hijack hit during the 9 o'clock news on WGN. The station's signal suddenly went dark, and there was this creepy Max Headroom figure swaying in front of a rotating metal sheet. The engineers managed to switch the signal back after about 30 seconds. 2 hours later, they struck again. This time they hit WTTW during an episode of Doctor Who. The masked figure started rambling about everything from New Coke to Chuck Swirsky, a sports announcer. The video ended with the person bending over, getting spanked with a fly swatter by someone off camera, while humming the theme song to Clutch Cargo. To pull this off, the mystery hacker needed thousands of dollars worth of professional broadcasting gear. They also needed to know exactly where to point their transmitter to override the station's signal. This wasn't some kid messing around in their basement. This was someone who knew what they were doing. The FBI got involved. The FCC launched an investigation, but to this day, nobody knows who did it, or why they chose Max Headroom as their avatar, or what that fly swatter scene was about. Number 9. The Southern Television Hijack. On November 26, 1977, something or someone hijacked the airwaves of Southern Television in England. A deep, booming voice took over the broadcast, claiming to be Vrillon from the Ashtar Galactic Command. The voice spoke for 6 straight minutes. The message was clear, detailed, and deeply unsettling. The voice warned humanity about weapons of evil and talked about Earth entering a new age. It told viewers that we had to learn to live in peace or face dire consequences. The technical skills needed to pull this off were incredible. The hijacker had to overpower a powerful TV transmitter from a remote location, and they managed to keep control for 6 whole minutes. They left no trace. No equipment was ever found. No one ever claimed responsibility. The authorities investigated, but came up empty-handed. To this day, no one has been able to explain how someone managed to hijack one of Britain's largest TV stations. The message was coherent, and, unlike other famous hijacks, this one wasn't just someone playing around. The Southern Television hijack remains one of the most sophisticated broadcast intrusions ever recorded. Number 8. The Swedish Rhapsody. Imagine tuning your radio late at night in the 1960s. You hear a music box playing a children's lullaby. Then a child's voice starts counting numbers in German, except it's not actually a child. This was the Swedish Rhapsody numbers station, and it's one of the most unsettling radio broadcasts in history. This wasn't some horror movie sound effect. This was a real broadcast that ran for almost 40 years, used by the Polish government to send secret messages to spies. That child's voice wasn't a child at all. It was a mechanical Sprachmorse generator, a voice synthesizer from your darkest nightmares. What better way to hide spy broadcasts than making them sound like the world's most terrifying music box? People who heard it described feeling physically ill. Imagine hearing Achtung, Achtung, followed by a childlike robot reading numbers at 3 a.m. The broadcast always started with that haunting music box melody. Then that voice reading groups of 5 numbers in German, over and over. Nobody outside the spy agencies knew what the numbers meant. The music box tune was eventually identified as Luxembourg Polka, made by a company called Rouge, but the creepy delivery made it unforgettable. The station went silent in 1998, but recordings still exist online. Number 7. The Russian Woodpecker. In 1976, a mysterious tapping sound invaded homes worldwide, drowning out TV shows and radio broadcasts. It sounded like a woodpecker hammering away at a tree, except this woodpecker was made of metal and broadcast on radio frequencies across the globe. Ham radio operators detected this signal pulsing 10 times per second. The signal was so powerful, it could overwhelm everything else, like having someone bang pots and pans right next to your ear. People called it the Russian Woodpecker, after tracing the signal back to the Soviet Union. The signal packed an estimated 10 million watts of power. The Soviets denied everything, but the source was a massive over-the-horizon radar array called Duga, built near Chernobyl. This wasn't a mind control device, but an early warning system designed to detect incoming nuclear missiles by bouncing signals off the ionosphere. The radar structure stood nearly 500 feet high and 900 feet long, taller than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Despite its massive size and worldwide interference, it remained a secret for years. The signal finally stopped in 1989. Today, the Duga radar still stands, a rusting 500-foot wall of metal, a monument to Cold War paranoia. Number 6. The EAS Zombie Apocalypse. Imagine watching TV on a normal Monday afternoon in 2013. Your screen goes black. The emergency alert system kicks in. A robotic voice starts speaking. Civil authorities in your area have reported that the bodies of the dead are rising from their graves and attacking the living. If you lived in Montana, Michigan, or New Mexico that day, this is exactly what happened to you. Multiple TV stations got hijacked simultaneously with this zombie apocalypse warning. Someone managed to hack into the emergency alert system. They used default passwords that were never changed on the broadcast equipment and basically walked right in through the digital front door. The hackers recycled audio from a popular YouTube video. The FBI investigated, but the original perpetrators were never publicly identified. The real threat wasn't the zombie warning. These hackers exposed how easy it was to break into a system meant to warn us about actual emergencies. Imagine if instead of zombies, they'd announced something more believable, like an incoming missile strike. The panic could have been real. Number 5. Skyking Transmissions. Through the static of a shortwave radio, a robotic voice cuts through. Skyking. Skyking, do not answer, followed by a string of letters and numbers. These are the Skyking Transmissions, part of America's high-frequency global communications system. You're literally listening to part of a military network that includes nuclear command and control. These broadcasts have been going non-stop since the Cold War. The voice reads out what sounds like gibberish. Charlie Oscar 79 Delta, followed by a timestamp. Then it repeats the haunting phrase, Skyking, Skyking, do not answer. During major world events, the rate of these messages sometimes changes. Radio hobbyists have noted increased traffic during pivotal moments in history. The codes are designed to be understood only by their intended recipients, likely military aircraft, including nuclear-capable bombers, flying somewhere above us. As long as these broadcasts continue in their routine pattern, everything's normal. If they suddenly stop, that's when you should start worrying. Number 4. The Amelia Earhart distress calls. Hundreds of people across the Pacific may have heard Amelia Earhart's desperate calls for help after her plane vanished in 1937. For nearly a week after her disappearance, military stations, commercial ships, and amateur radio operators picked up mysterious signals. Through the static, a woman's voice crackled. We are on a reef. Water is rising. The broadcasts were weak, broken, and desperate. Water's high. We can't hold out much longer. The signals seemed to only come when the tide was low. Researchers from the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, or TIGAR, believe that if Earhart's plane landed on a reef near Gardner Island, high tide would have submerged her engine, which she needed to power the radio. The transmission times perfectly matched the low tide schedule at that specific location. Her final messages revealed a horrifying situation. Her navigator, Fred Noonan, was possibly injured. Her voice grew weaker with each transmission. On July 18th, what might have been her final broadcast was heard. Unable to receive signals, running out of gas, only half-hour left, then silence. Official search parties dismissed most of these calls as hoaxes, but modern analysis shows 57 credible reports of people hearing Earhart's transmissions, all spread across thousands of miles. A 15-year-old girl in Florida wrote down exact phrases from the broadcasts that weren't made public until decades later, lending them credibility. It's believed that for her final days, Amelia Earhart was broadcasting pleas for a rescue that was heard, but never came. Number 3. UVB-76. The Swan Lake Incident. UVB-76, nicknamed the Buzzer, is a mysterious Russian radio station that's been broadcasting a constant buzzing sound since the Soviet era, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But sometimes, the buzzing stops, and a voice comes on speaking in Russian, reading out coded messages of random numbers and words. Nobody knows exactly what these messages mean or who they're for, but on June 5, 2010, something unprecedented happened. The buzzing stopped. Then suddenly, the silence was broken by Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. An excerpt from the ballet played, and then the station went silent again for a full day before the buzzing resumed. During the Soviet era, playing Swan Lake on state television was a coded signal. It meant a national leader had died, or a coup was underway. It was the government's way of marking a crisis without revealing details. To this day, Nobody knows why Swan Lake played on the buzzer that day. Some think it was a system test or even a mistake by an operator. Radio enthusiasts eventually tracked the original signal to a Russian military installation, which was later found to be abandoned after the broadcast's location moved. Yet somehow the buzzing continues from a new, unknown location right now. Number 2. The Lost Cosmonauts. A faint heartbeat, heavy breathing, then a woman's voice, speaking frantically in Russian. "I can see flames. Am I going to crash? I feel hot. What is this?" The transmission cuts to static. This is exactly what two Italian brothers claimed to have heard back in 1961. The Giudica Cordiglia brothers were amateur radio operators who built their own listening station called Torre Bert. They were intercepting secret Soviet space transmissions, and they recorded multiple broadcasts from what they claim were doomed Soviet cosmonauts who were then erased from history. While Yuri Gagarin is officially the first person in space, the Soviet space program was shrouded in secrecy. They only announced successful missions. It's theorized that failed launches and dead cosmonauts were completely covered up. The brothers recorded 9 different alleged transmissions. In one recording, they claimed to have picked up the sound of a cosmonaut suffocating as their cabin lost pressure. Another seems to capture a cosmonaut burning up during re-entry. If true, these might be the final moments of people who died alone in space. Their families were often told they died in training accidents on Earth. The Soviets had a documented history of erasing people from photographs and covering up disasters. While many experts doubt the authenticity of the recordings, they remain a chilling what-if in the history of the space race. Number 1. The WOW signal. In 1977, astronomer Jerry Amon was working the night shift at Ohio State University's radio telescope. He found a signal so strong and so strange that he circled it on the printout paper and wrote "WOW" in the margin. This signal was 30 times stronger than the background noise of deep space. It's like hearing a faint whisper from across a field, and then suddenly someone is screaming directly in your ear. The signal lasted for exactly 72 seconds. Most importantly, it was broadcasting at a frequency around 1,420 megahertz. This is known as the hydrogen line, a universal frequency that hydrogen atoms naturally emit. Scientists had long theorized that if an intelligent alien civilization wanted to communicate across the galaxy, they would use this specific frequency. It's the cosmic equivalent of a universal hailing channel. The signal appeared to come from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, but it had all the hallmarks of an artificial, intelligent origin. And then, it was gone. For over 40 years, astronomers have pointed their telescopes back to that same patch of sky, hoping to hear it again. They've found nothing. For 72 seconds in 1977, something out there got our attention, and we still have no idea what it was, or what it was trying to tell us. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.